This is It Was a Thing on TV.
Spoiler number one is Dr. Lee frowns.
It stinks.
What is going on? What is going on?
Episode 26, Submission 122, Banzai!
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 Stay-at-home fun. From a land where anything is truly possible comes new gambling opportunity. Place your bets now. It's time to play Banzai.
To say the least, this was a goofy show. We didn't put in the airing history for it because it is a very complex history, at least on this side of the Atlantic. This is actually a British show to start off with. It did air for 3 seasons in Britain, and there were 24 episodes, including one special episode. It aired originally on the E4 network in England from January 18th of 2001 to May 15th of 2003. But the U.S., it has a little bit much different, much more complex lifespan because it originally aired on USA as interstitial clips during movies on Friday nights, I believe. I think it essentially replaced what was Up All Night, or I'm sorry,
Yeah, it did.
All Night.
Future installment, Up All Night.
With Ron
USA
Shearer,
up all night.
Oh, thank you, Gilbert. with, as we mentioned on the $1.98 Beauty Show episode, Rhonda Shear, former winner of the $1.98 Beauty Show.
Yes.
So in the United States, yeah, it aired briefly at night, in late night, on the USA Network during their movies, just in little tidbits.
Well, it would be Friday because it was called Banzai Movie Fridays, so that would be the Gilbert Godfrey Up All Night.
App all night. No,
Thank you.
can't do it. Fox picked up the series in 2003 and edited some of the content, and by saying that some people were from parts of the United States instead of from the United Kingdom to give it a sense of authenticity over here, that it wasn't just imported. And it only lasted 6 episodes. Why did it last 6 episodes? And this is where Chico says, because it was racist.
That's racist, possibly.
Oh,
Possibly.
yeah.
Oh,
That's racist, definitely.
they played the stereotypes here.
Yeah. From everything from, let's see, the dialogue, which was, and I have an example here. Place bets now.
Oh, it wasn't place bets now.
Place your bets. No bet, no get.
Yes, place your bets.
And
And
betting ends. Hold on.
betting
And then
ends with the gong.
Betting ends.
With the gong.
Dong.
Gong. Betting
And,
ends.
and this is where you kind of wish that this was a video podcast instead of an audio, because they had this sort of Chinese, Japanese-looking script, and the bottom said "Place bets now" as subtitles.
Yes, and it looked like your stereotypical Chinese type of font. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, and they also had Japanese characters on the screen doing animations, while the music was playing. So it aired for 6 episodes here before it got pulled because of obvious racism. And it then ended up someplace else. Then in early 2004, it showed up on Comedy Central. But wait, there's more.
There's more.
What? There's more?
But yeah, there's more. So reruns of Banzai then showed up on G4 in March of 2006. And remember, at this time, G4 really wasn't showing a whole heck of a lot of video game stuff. They had stopped showing Starcade by then. They were showing Cheaters, I believe, and they were showing Impossible Banzuki, and they were showing the original Ninja Warrior. They were showing Sasuke, I do believe, at that time.
Yes.
Oh.
But also they were
That's
showing original shows like future installment Code Monkeys. One of the best cartoons ever. I'm sorry, I love Code Monkeys.
Well, yeah, you introduced me to Code Monkeys, like, when we started this show.
Yeah, and it is so clever. So clever. We're going to definitely cover that in the future. So if you're playing along at home, the timeline is the original version airing on E4 in Britain, then USA in Clips, then Fox, then Comedy Central, then G4.
I'm confused.
Well, that's why I broke it down nice and slowly for everybody, because this show aired for a little while in many places instead of for a long while in one place. So the whole entire idea of the show was you fictionally placed bets on different events happening.
The two main ones that aired in the States were Shake Hands Man, where you would have Mr. Shake Hands Man try and maintain a handshake with people for as long as possible. Now, there were actually now here's an interesting factoid. There are actually two Shake Hands Man.
Shake Hands Men.
Yeah.
And yeah, the idea of the Shake Hands Man, he would come up to a celebrity, shake hands with the celebrity, and the idea was more or less, will he shake hands with this person for at least a minute? And some people would wiggle their way out of it. So one person I saw would, actually took her available hand and shoved his hand away from hers really fast. And some people would just be taking it like a man. Just shake, 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 and, a minute 45 seconds later or 2 minutes later, the game's over. Oh, if you picked over 1 minute, you win.
Yep.
And that was on every show. Every show had Shake Hands Man. But then there were other contests, and going to Truth by Consensus Wikipedia, some of these I remember. You had grannies playing chicken with motorized wheelchairs, which I remember that. Amputee football, egg eating, blindfolded gas pumping, and the length of time it would take an object to hit the ground after being dropped from a roof.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, there's one game I remember. They had 3 Michael Jackson imitators moonwalking on ice.
I do remember that one. Yeah.
Yes, they did.
They had 3 specific Michael Jacksons. They had the military Michael Jackson, they had Thriller era Michael Jackson, and they had Bad Skin era Michael Jackson. And so they would moonwalk on the ice, and whoever got to the other end of the rink first while moonwalking on the ice was the winner.
Yes. The show sometimes had very inappropriate stunts or stuff at least you couldn't show in America. You had there was a game in which someone had to guess who had the longest penis in a lineup of people, or who had the biggest breast implants. That one I do think actually made it over on this side. I remember that somewhat. Or how long... Oh, this is horrible. I can't say this. How long it takes a Madagascar hissing cockroach to microwave.
Ew.
Okay, so, well, ew, number one. But number two, now you got PETA mad at you. That's just so inhumane and horrible to do to a living creature.
Yeah.
But there was also, and I know Greg and Chico probably really enjoyed reading about this, there was a Doctor Who segment.
Yes, of course this wouldn't air in the U.S. because the
reference would be lost.
And the revival hadn't happened yet in the U.S. But there was a segment on the U.K. version where there was someone at the door. It's the Doctor. Doctor Who. That's exactly. So there were about 4 choices. Who was at the door? Was it Sylvester McCoy, Peter Davison, Tom Baker, or Colin Baker? Spoilers, it was Colin Baker.
And there was another Doctor Who related bet here. Peter Davison was asked, which other Doctor would he like to have sex with? Tom Baker, John Pertwee, or Sylvester McCoy? Now, remember that John Pertwee was long since dead, sadly.
Yeah.
And it gets even more cringy.
How could it get more cringy than that? Ew.
Yeah.
Yeah. So understandably, that didn't make it. But I'll tell you what did make it. Some guy in a recumbent bicycling contest with Lou Ferrigno, because at least then the reference would be gotten. And another thing that was gotten was a segment, and this was on all 6 of the Fox episodes. Lady One Question.
Yes, Lady One Question.
Yes. And what
Yes.
you have, what Lady One Question is a reporter, or a reporter in air quotes, who would ask celebrities one question and then continue to stare at them while holding her microphone. And the first one they did, now remember, this was in 2003 or 2004, when American Idol was a thing on TV. And the first episode they did was Simon Cowell.
Well, yeah, Simon Cowell would have been very big overseas back then. So it wasn't just American Idol, but it's still something that's very relatable.
She made reference to what was then being called American Pop Idol.
Right. Well, so that actually would have been like 2002-ish, because I don't remember that ever using that name.
They did use it. Either they used it, or they updated it, or they used an updated version of it, but we got it.
Well, in addition to all that, believe it or not, there is actually a board game. And guess what, guys? I have a copy of the board game in front of me. Yes,
How are you going to
did
make a
you-
board game out of... It's like, forget how he got it. How do you make a board game out of Banzai?
Well, it's pretty easy, because this was released, I'm guessing... Well, let me take a look. Let me see if there's a date of publishing here. So the copyright on the board game is dated 2006, which is, again, 2 or 3 years after the Fox version aired. At this point, it was airing in reruns on G4. And what it was, and this is popular for back in the day, if you remember how games were back then, it was a DVD board game.
That explains it.
Yes, so you had a DVD which had a number of the clips from the TV show. So if you had already seen these, you sort of had a leg up on the competition. And what you had is it was up to 4 players. You have a little triangular sort of cup, and I'm actually holding one in my hands. There were 4 different colors. There's blue, green, red, and orange. The orange has, and each of these has 25 characters in it. The orange has 25 Kung Fu Carls, the world's last starfish assassin. The red has 25 Tacos Ticklers, which are essentially octopus tentacles or squid tentacles.
Ew.
Well, no, they're not real. They're plastic, mind you. There's 25 Loises, Loises, the Louisiana squirrel roll, which looks like, I'm going to assume, some type of sushi. And then the green, there's 25 chums, which are just little fish, little green fish. So what the idea was is, and I've got the rules right here. The premise for the stunt appears on TV after you play the DVD. Depending on the challenge, anywhere from 2 to 5 different on-screen outcomes will appear. Players will bet their sushi on these outcomes. But wait, there's a catch. Hey, let's make it more stereotypically racist. How are people going to bet their currency, their fish? You have to use chopsticks and get it in another separate bowl. And yes, it came with 4 sets of chopsticks. 4 sets of plastic chopsticks. Players had 15 seconds to make their sushi wagers, using only their chopsticks. They had to transfer their individual sushi to their sushi betting bowls, and they couldn't touch the sushi or the sushi bowl with any other part of their body. So they couldn't use their fingers. Everything had to be done with your chopsticks. So if you didn't know how to use chopsticks, you couldn't bet that much, I would presume. And then the person who got the most sushi into their betting bowl got control of the bet and the best odds of winning the round. So the person who bet the most sushi, there were different betting cards, and I have actually all of them right in front of me. I'm going to take a look at the red ones first because I'm assuming it's yellow, not orange. The green and blue are probably the same, but there were 5 cards, and they just said A, B, C, D, and E, and so each one corresponded to a different outcome on the screen, sort of like what we talked about earlier. With Mr. Shake Hands. Will he shake this person's hands for under 30 seconds, 30 seconds to a minute to a minute 30, a minute 30 to 2 minutes, or 2 minutes or above. And so the person that won the bet got to make the first wager. Okay, so this actually, the rules of this actually turn out to be like poker, because each player can either match the top better's amount of sushi by adding up, sort of like poker, or they can choose to fold and sit out the round. So essentially, this is like poker meets Banzai, but with an Asian twist, a racist Asian twist. And
this isn't racist stuff. I get it.
Yeah, this isn't like overly racist. And yeah, if you fold, you have no chance of winning the pot. They tell us this in the instructions. The players who did not fold and chose to stay in the round now place the card representing their guess for the what they think is going to happen. And you win the pot by playing the stunt on the DVD. The outcome's revealed. The player with the card under their betting bowl, they'll reveal their guesses. If their card matches the actual outcome on the disc, they win all the sushi in the pot. If they guess wrong, then all the other players still in the round show their cards. The pot is divided among everyone who guessed correctly. If nobody guessed correctly, then each player removes the sushi they bet, puts it back in their bowl, and lather, rinse, repeat. We do it all over again. And there actually is no sense of closure here. It doesn't say whoever gets all 100 pieces of sushi wins, whoever gets 50 wins. It just says you keep on playing. You're in an infinite loop.
You keep on playing until somebody dies of ennui.
Yeah, until somebody gets bored to death, or until somebody beats them, because this is terribly racist. But yeah, the only reason I got it is because I remember Banzai, and it was like $5. And it was at one of the Go calendar and bookstores and game stores that you see. But this wasn't a pop-up store. It was actually a tangible store that was in downtown Cleveland during the 2000s. Oh, plus also, to make it even more racist. Hey, why not?
No.
Why not? Yeah, why not maximize the racism? Everybody had a headband they had to wear when they played the game.
Oh,
no. It had red and white stripes on it, and it has the Banzai logo on it. It's just a cardboard headband, but again, it just like insinuates the stereotype. So that's the most racist board game ever. And if you want more of this, next month we're actually doing an episode on board games based on TV shows. So we got the Banzai board game out of the way. There's more to come, and trust me, there's a lot more bad board games out there, and some of us, specifically me, has spent money on them. For you, our audience.
Mike, you actually bought board games just
Well, yes, I did. I again, I don't want to spoil what I bought, but if you follow our Twitter, I did post a picture of it when I bought it back about 2 months ago, month and a half ago.
Oh,
so there's a preview as to one thing we're going to cover.
Hey, we if you've listened closer to our past catalog, you know the tease of what's coming.
Yeah, and there's some really bad games here, and that'll be a fun episode because we're actually going to play the games.
So there is a viable reason why it didn't go past 24 episodes in the UK, let alone the 6 of them that aired on Fox. Well, let's start with Fox here, because 2 years before Fox aired its episodes, you had the clips on USA, Asian American groups objected to them, and then when Fox picked up the show, Asian American groups objected to the show, and I actually have a quote from the founder of Media Action Network for Asian Americans, Guy Aoki. It's just all the backwards images of Asian American people. This is like an Asian minstrel show. Can you imagine the black version of Banzai? I can, and I don't like it. Anyway, sponsors were alerted to the show. Many dropped the sponsorship, and Fox canceled it after 6. But in the UK, that was not the worst of it. Let's go to 2002, April 2002. They attempted to record a sketch where they were trying to measure the speed of a funeral procession.
But yeah, wait for it. Yes,
it was the funeral of the Queen Mother, Queen Elizabeth.
Oh, you can't do that. No.
No. To say the very least, that was just bad.
Well, yeah, when you offend the crown head of state for your nation, yeah, that's probably going to get you booted really fast, especially someplace that has a big legacy like the United Kingdom. So it wasn't really the racism that got it booted. It was recording the speed of the Queen Mum's funeral procession.
Seems like it. There are just some things you don't do, and that was one of them.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Well, I think we can put this one to rest. We can bathe in our Clorox baths now and clean ourselves of this absolute racist mess.
Yes, it was Yes, Banzai was. You had a bunch of gambling on television, which is the norm now, but when you throw in a bunch of Asian stereotypes and try to offend for the sake of offense, what can you say except, yeah, everybody frowns on it now, but back in 2002, oh boy, it was a thing on TV.
Yep.
It was a thing on every TV station. It got passed around quite a bit.
Yeah, like a babysitter that didn't want to deal with a baby's bottom.
That's an interesting comparison.
Oh.
Have you ever seen a baby's bottom that you didn't want to deal with? I rest my case.
And that has been another installment of Chico Says Way Too Much.
Well, we're going to say way too much on our website at itwasathingontv.com, where you can find out about the show, about each other, listen to past episodes, and follow us on social media.
And especially thank you for everybody who's following us now. I shared this with Chico and Greg before we started recording. The number of people who are listening to the show has literally more than doubled over the past 2 weeks, and we thank you so much. And I mentioned also to Chico and Greg, the number of people who just started following the podcast on Facebook in the last week has gone up by 6. And I mean, that doesn't sound big, but when you have 25 likes on Facebook and you go from 19 to 25, that's pretty significant.
Yes. And also, remember to listen every Wednesday. A couple of our episodes from our back catalog are slowly going up on the Place to Be Nation pop feed right now. So I think the last 3 episodes that came up were Meow Manor, Lidsville, and Judge Wapner's Animal Court. So
yeah, episodes 6, 7, and 8 got posted earlier this week, at least as of the time of recording. So Well, until next time, and next time isn't going to be Monday because we're doing a third episode this week, a Super Bowl special, as it were.
Yes.
And it's going to be a good one. Oh, this is a topic that we have been waiting to talk about. And it's when you think about Super Bowls, you think about a certain topic. No, it's not that topic. No, it does not involve a certain singer's breasts.
No.
But that is in the future.
That is on the list, but that is not what we're going to talk about.
We'll wait for next year to cover that. But this year, for our Super Bowl special, I think it's a classic from Super Bowls past. And I think we're all going to be excited about this.
Oh, indeed. And that'll be coming out sometime later on this week, probably either Friday the 31st or February 1st, right before the big game. So until then, until that episode drops, thank you, Chico. Thank you, Greg. Thank you for listening. And we'll catch you later on this week with a bonus episode of It Was a Thing on TV. Bye-bye.
Wow! Banzai!
Oh, look, it's Lady One Question. Mike, how long do you think that It Was a Thing on TV will be a very successful podcast?
Oh, I would say at least 100, 200 years. I mean, we'll be here. There'll be heads of us in formaldehyde. We'll still be talking in like the year 2220. And that was the one question. Da 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 da.